What's going on, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Jamie Alexander, and we're about to have a conversation about why good girls are boring. Want to know more about it? Then stay tuned. Y'all know what time it is. And if you don't know, now you know. I feel like we're going live Wednesdays at 7. It seems to be a thing. So this is what we're going with. But I can't have this conversation alone. So you know I have to invite Inyatu Marvel, dating and relationship consultant, to the stage.
Happy Win With Me Wednesday, Jamie.
Win with me Wednesday. I like that.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling like a winner today.
You should be feeling like a winner today. I definitely feel like a winner, even more so for some reason on Wednesdays. It's a theme, and my spirit just runs with it.
Yeah, I'm with it. Maybe it is Wednesdays. Like sometimes I can do Mondays really well, but if I do Mondays too well, I don't do Tuesdays at all. So So today it was like I woke up early and I was so proud because that's not my thing, but I'm making it my thing. I worked out, did groceries, got all of this stuff, and I actually ate dinner before I came on here because I'm trying not to eat at like 9:30 at night.
I am on the same kick. I'm trying not to eat after 6 o'clock, but the struggle is real at times. So how I've contained that is by only having like super healthy snacks. So I got some blueberries. I can eat that after 6 o'clock.
That's gonna be me later. I got some blueberries, and really, my friend who is a personal trainer, she's like, "Don't eat fruit after 3." I'm like, "Girl,
no, I'm making it work.
I'm making it work. It's better than a pint of ice cream." So
1,000%.
we're doing what we can. So I love it. I'm so glad you were available. And thank you guys for tuning in. I see you in the chat. If you're excited about this conversation, drop an emoji, let us know. Feel free to ask questions and share your comments. But I saw this video per usual, and I was like, yeah, this is good. This makes sense. And I really believe the awareness of this type of thing is valuable.
Absolutely.
So why don't we jump into this video and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
I almost left my wife when we first got together because I thought she was boring. I didn't realize that I was healing the wounded little boy in me that still needed that dopamine rush of toxicity. You see, the way the nervous system works is that we hold on to memory in our body, and mine was holding on to memory of toxic relationships. It's kind of like when you eat a bunch of junk food and your body becomes dependent on the chemicals in that junk food. It's the same way. Your nervous system works the same exact way. So when you're used to toxic relationships, you will seek that constant thrill, that constant high of dopamine rush of toxicity. So let me ask you this. Are you still seeking that dopamine rush of toxicity? And is there something in you that needs to be healed in order to step fully into a healthy relationship?
That is so good.
So good.
I think it's something that we don't think about enough. And this goes for women too, clearly, because y'all ladies know, you already know what we be doing. You already know. But I feel like I had my wake up call on this, right? And it wasn't actually that long ago. Like you would think it clicked for me a little earlier, but it didn't. So, you do the healing work, you get the language, you start to understand about your nervous system and all these things. So back in like 2020, I went on this fast, praying for a husband. It was this 40-day, it was this whole thing, whatever. I was like, okay, let me get intentional. Let me get serious and do this. And of course, 8 days in, which is a significant number for me, somebody I knew and was crazy about when we were in high school. So it was like this thing that came back around, and it was like all the right things happening in the conversation and blah, 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 blah. And it ended up being one of the worst situations I had ever put myself into. And of course, it's always pain and rock bottom that kind of gets us to look at, okay, like, I don't want to go through that again. What did I do? And it was it almost like whatever he's talking about that's in your nervous system that's addicted to that toxicity, it got knocked right out of me. I was like, oh, girl, wake up. because you're praying for a union like a husband, and it's not to say the fast didn't work, because it showed me everything I was doing to keep me from that. And I had no idea. I had no idea. I was kind of addicted to that energy, but that's exactly what it was. Like, can you relate?
I absolutely can relate personally and from observance. Normally, it's called a type, right? Right?
That sounds real cute.
When people say that's
Addiction
my
versus
type,
a type. Yeah.
when people say that's my type, I say, uh-oh, because usually that is not working for you. So it just tickled me when you said, you know, the high school sweetheart somebody was crazy about came back around because, you know, that is often what it is. And so sometimes it's like super toxic where it's visible and overt, you know, there's violence and all of these crazy things that people are attracted to. And then with other people who may be more involved, it's subtle, right? So you will not always pick up on it. And so, you know, Wale said, the bad girls ain't no good and the good girls ain't no fun, right? And so I found myself laughing with a close friend of mine, you know, a few months back, because what's good to me and what's good for me can often be different things. And I laugh so much because I see couples together sometimes and I'm like, you know, how they meet, how they get together. And now I understand from a mature standpoint. Before I used to laugh, but now it's like, okay, right. Somebody figured out that their type was not really what was best for them and stepped outside of that box and found somebody who really loved them and found a healthy relationship. And so that's not to say that healthy relationships can't be exciting, but a lot of times people are caught up in their ego and feeding that as opposed to their spirit and their soul.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so unintentional. But, you know, even talking about our eating habits earlier in the conversation, like I have taken full advantage that one, I work out pretty much every day.
Right.
And, you know, I'm built well. So I tend to take advantage of that. But I have to remember and remind myself, like, girl, you can't eat 9 cookies at 10 o'clock at night. Like, it's going to catch up with you. The sugar, the this. I went to the gym the other day. I was like, is that a love handle? Okay, what are we doing? Like,
Right.
get with the program. But it's like, you know, like you said, it's subtle. Just because I can't see myself getting bigger or I don't feel sluggish or my teeth aren't rotting does not mean that this stuff does not have an effect on me, especially in long term. And it's just like, how do we get to the place where we are eating, dating healthier and loving that for us? Because it's challenging. Like, a lot of the times, to be honest, I'm doing that because it's soothing. Like,
Right.
I'm eating because it feels good. It's the dopamine. It's the, you know, so when he said addiction, I was just like, yeah, like essentially that's what it is. It's that energy that's like for sure like this. And you're like, oh my God, okay, well, this feels like what I'm used to. I'm good, even though it's kicking my ass.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like they're not making the same mistake if it's with a different person, right? And so the universe will play that game with you. His name will be, this one's name will be Rick, and the next one's name will be Todd, and the next one's name will be Jamal, but it'll all be the same, right? And so, yeah, I had to really pick up on that with myself and really identify that. And I had two different therapists, you know, help me see like you're actually self-sabotaging in who you're choosing right out of the gate. And yeah, it is addictive. It's a comfort zone. And a lot of times we haven't been able to discern where it came from. And so it's why I tell people that, I mean, this is such an important topic. This is so powerful and so potent that people really don't understand what they need and what they really want. That what they think they need and what they want has been projected onto them by outside forces, and it's been happening so long that we subconsciously believe that these are the choices that we made, and that this is really what we need and what we want. And so we're flabbergasted and appalled, can't figure out why it won't work. Why does this same thing keep happening over and over again? It's because we're choosing that same pain over and over again, and we're trying to have a standoff with the universe, right? We gonna stay the same, and we gonna pick the same and do the same stuff, but the universe better give us a different result this time because we sick of it, and it just doesn't work that way.
We're crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're crazy.
Nuts.
So yeah, nuts.
The
We've
cheese
lost
has
it.
slid off the cracker.
Makes no sense. We're gone in the head. It just is what it is. What's up, SJ? Thanks for tuning in, girl. Can you relate, SJ? Do you know what we're talking about? Have you ever had that addiction to somebody or a type and it's just gotten you in trouble? So, okay. Iñárritu, you said that it's hard to understand where it comes from sometimes. And I had to examine that too. And so I kind of called it out. I was like, okay, high school. I'm not entirely sure where I got the bad habit, but it started early. For me, it wasn't a negative relationship with my father necessarily. Like my dad does not have that same type of energy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there were things that happened because he's also a good, really straight, upstanding. And I think I was like, let me go see what these tattoos and this is a gang member. What gang are you in? What are you selling? Like, I'm like too curious it's terrible. But I noticed too in some of the men that I date, like, or have dated, and I do have like a few people in mind specifically, but when they talk about their relationship with their mother, it was like tumultuous or, abusive, or they were the man of the house really early, or they were, or their mother did things so there's just all these dynamics where I feel like too, sometimes I felt like I was too calm. Like I can see that you low key, you want to be lied to. You want somebody that's going to put you through the ringer. I'm not going to be able to do that. I can tell sometimes when someone feels bored,
Right.
in a sense, because it just doesn't feel like what they're used to. And now I'm watching men create stories. You're creating stories about me. I was clear about what I was doing.
Right.
Where did that come from? So it's just, I'd be looking at a bunch of things and trying to figure out.
Right. So yeah, it doesn't always tie back to the parent. Sometimes
Right.
it just ties back to what fed our ego at a young age. Right.
What fed our ego?
Yeah. And so we want that. That's a high too, right? And so
yes.
It's just like, you're missing that. It's what we said earlier. It's like a drug. You're missing that high. It's a different type of toxic high, still the same thing. And so again, what is handsome, what is desirable, what other people will high five us for. Sometimes we really absorb those things at a young age, especially in high school, when you're trying to be one of the in kids, you want to be popular, and what other people think matters a lot more. And you're less likely to have fully discovered who you are, right? And so we're very, very impressionable. And so, a lot of men try to date the women that they feel like the men around them would admire them for dating, as opposed to exploring and identifying and accepting what it is that they're truly attracted to. And then beyond the scope of that, again, attraction alone will not sustain a relationship forever. And so, being able to identify and recognize what's healthy for you is a huge thing. And so what's really important to understand is the flip side of this. When somebody who is good for you comes along and they don't fit into the box of your type, right? Because when that happened to me, oh my God, I unraveled all over the place. I didn't know what to do with this healthy love that was upon me, that I did not know what to do with this unconditional love, with this unconditional support, with this, not trying to force me to be anything that I'm not, or I totally self-sabotaged and ruined that situation because I had no experience. And it's so ironic because I didn't pick that woman for myself. I actually let somebody match you, right? I had never done that before. And a friend of mine had been trying to connect us for like 2 years. And finally we connected. He's like, it don't have to be date, y'all can be just friends. And that's, where it started. But ultimately it developed into romance. And so, that was really eye-opening for me. It's like, man, somebody else is better at picking for you than you are, because you're blinded by these, Iñárritu colored glasses that are telling you that the things that excite you, the danger, the living on the edge that excites you is what will work for you in a long-term healthy relationship.
That's insane.
Insane.
What you gonna do? You gonna go back and find that girl where she at? Like,
No, no,
it's done. That was
no,
the
no, no.
season.
So because she was good for me for a period of time, but that she wasn't the one
Okay.
for me. So it's not a regret and go back. The regret is, mishandling, somebody who, was so great for me, and acknowledging that's a tough truth to swallow. It's like, man, but I took a peek at there's a short 11-minute documentary, and I put a reel up about it today from Jay-Z's 444 album. And I just took a peek at it again. And he's like, yeah, so, I reconnected with my father. And so now I'm like ready. I'm ready to have this relationship. I'm ready to make it happen. And he's like, but you don't even have the tools. Like, how you going to be, you ready? Like, how are you going to make this happen? What are you going to do with this? And so that's when reality, really kicks in, when you have a situation that you really would like to get it right, but you have no practice in getting it right. And so you are definitely going to get it wrong if that's what you've been practicing doing, is getting it wrong. And so, yeah, we said last week, sometimes you look at the landscape and you're like, we're doomed. Like, how do we get past all of this?
I don't know, but it kind of makes me sad. Like, I feel sad because there's so much of this going on, but I feel like love is what we need most, and companionship is like super important. Like, we can do it on our own. Like, I can do this on my own. Like, where I live, what I have, I do this by myself.
Right.
I'm good. But I only imagine what it could be if I had a healthy relationship. But it just seems to be like getting there again. What I kind of say every episode is like, we're just now having the language to unfold and to understand and to look at ourselves in the mirror, because otherwise we stay surface with it, like, we just throw people away. We're just throwing people away, and we're not even able to communicate and work through things. And I did see that reel that you put up, and again, that, just like the video we just watched, it offered a lot of perspective, especially in the Black community, because whether you're from a single parent household or you had to hustle to put food on the table for your sisters and brothers because your mom was at work and your dad was, whatever it was, it's like we kind of have to recognize, and the men too, that a lot of them were stuck in survival mode. So it's not, how can you thrive with me when for so long you've put your needs on the back burner, when you've been risking your tail for a bite, when you've been like, your mentality is not even in alignment anywhere near with wife, kids, good health. This is what we're gonna do. It takes work. It's work.
And it's scary. And from the man perspective, if you are accepting that you're supposed to lead and things of that nature, it's even more scary for you, right? Because it's like, if this doesn't work, then what type of leader am I? And so, the caption on one of the posts is, a mentor will help you identify your weaknesses and confront them with courage, right?
Oh, I like that.
Right. And so, there's some men who are healthy and just don't want to be married and don't want to be in a relationship. But there are others who really would like to, but don't have the tools and don't know where to go get the tools, and are afraid of the consequences of botching that exercise. And so they reject it before it can reject them. And with no one who knows something right about it to encourage you and say, hey, it's okay that you don't know everything yet, right? But if you are willing to look at yourself and overcome some of these weaknesses and overcome some of these myths and unlearn some of these myths, I know that you can be all that you want to be in a relationship. You can succeed. You can lead it. You can be strong for it. You can pick the right person. You do have discernment. It won't go terribly wrong for you. You won't lose everything you've worked for. You won't find yourself miserable. You won't be wishing you had never done it. If you're not getting that type of encouragement, if all you're hearing is like, see, I told you, man, it's pimp or die. Or, see, I told you, you better get these millions first. Or see, I told you all these, things that, may or may not be serving us. It's hard So yeah, we need that mentorship.
It is. And while you were talking, I was thinking, see, this is why women stay too long. Because we know, we can see, we're like, no, like, you are that dude, but like, I can't do it for you, but I can affirm, I don't mind rocky waters. I don't mind. I know everything's not perfect, but if you're not going to, do it for yourself and really get that help and that work and be okay with it, there's nothing a woman can do. But I think that that's why women stay long. Not all these guys are bad guys. Some people just have a few trash habits, men and women, that just need a little bit, like, let's just put this in the dumpster. Let's just clean up and let's polish this up, put some little paint on it. Like, we're good. Now we're good. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's ego for people. I don't know. I mean, it is fear. I don't know what keeps people from being like, okay, by any means necessary. Like, I don't want to walk away from it, I don't want to walk away from this just to go get in something less because they'll accept you on the level of less. Why? Like,
well, it's so funny how life goes. I've run into a handful of situations where women confess to me that, they have been so accustomed to dealing with men who needed to improve really to be in a relationship with them, that when they met somebody where they were the ones who they felt like needed to improve, it was that same struggle. Like, uh-oh, he's here. Now what do? I haven't practiced what to do when the right person comes along, the person who is expressing themselves and is being clear and is leading and is financially stable and does know how to date and does know how to take you on vacation and, does check in on the relationship health every, week or two, just on general principle. If you're not accustomed to that as a woman, you will start to self-sabotage and start saying you don't know and things of that nature as well. And so, no, I've literally had women date me, and I love to do exit interviews. So I don't care if it's a year later, 2 years later. And I had an influx of women come to me like, yeah, I went to therapy, and man, some of that stuff, it was me.
Yes.
And I applaud them for that. That's not a knock or anything like that. That everybody has room for growth. We're all masterpieces and works in progress at the same time. And so, I'm proud of them for being able to see things, and I'm happy for the things that I was able to see about myself. And, hopefully we can start to heal this dynamic and recognize, the difference between what's feeding our ego and what's feeding our souls. Because trust me, one is much more nourishing than the other. Don't fall for the smoke and mirrors of your ego. That is temporary satisfaction at its finest.
Yeah, you got me earlier when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, it was ego. It was ego. It's smoke and mirrors. And it was, yeah, especially because I had to overcome and work through like proving my worth and value in a particular way. Like the perfectionism type thing, like, and now, it's something that I had to go through a lot of hard things to see. But when I look back at some of these guys, I'm like, yeah, because we would have looked like the typical visually. I mean, I grew up in Hollywood. So this is just what it was like, I got the guy, this is the basketball player. This is the guy that, although it's usually the man on campus is what I call him.
Ken and Barbie, so to speak.
Ken and Barbie, so to speak. And I just I thought I was doing it. Your ego will trick you into believing that that's what it should be. Like, that's what you really want. And so I still find myself refining what I really want, and like what that looks like based off of who I am now, based off of what I know, based off the healing I have done. And I have to continually go over that and make some fresh decisions because, after a certain amount of time of chaos, you're like, it's like you don't even recognize it when it's happening.
Yeah, definitely. If we want different results, we have to take different actions, and we have to show up as different versions of ourselves. And so, yeah, if you're not sure about if this is you or not, just tap into whether or not you have a type, and then the answer is yes, right? Because the person that's for you doesn't fit some some cast type doesn't per se fit in the box. They may have qualities and things of that nature, but trust me, getting a relationship right is not finding the person who fits into your box. In fact, oftentimes it's the person who stretches your box that is the person for you. And so, she said she can't really relate.
I was like, SJ, you don't got to type? Like, oh my God, you've never been through that thing. I envy you.
God bless. Oh my God.
Right.
I always realized a couple months later, I'm like, this is so-and-so, the reincarnation of so-and-so. Man, what you doing?
Yes. Because once I got over that Ken and Barbie thing and the man on campus and basketball player, the money, this guy's getting in that, I went the other direction. I'm like, this guy, he works at the Apple store. He can't be that bad. And yet, and still, there was still that thing that was running underneath. So it did kind of take me a while to figure out what that was. And it wasn't always easy to identify because things, well, you know what? I'm lying. Because when, if you do the work and you're really diligent about it, we be knowing, and we know pretty quickly. But that's when we start to invite the mind into, the body knows, but then we invite the mind in to make logic of things. And my body is far smarter than my mind. My mind is going to keep doing whatever it be doing when it's doing, and it's just ridiculous. But I remember that guy I told you about when the comments. See, Tanya, I was thinking the same thing, but I wasn't going to type that. I'm not going to display that comment. Anyways. But, there was a moment where we had, and we were close, we were close to each other, and energetically I felt it. I was like, I'm really uncomfortable, but then my mind's like, no, I'm just nervous. Oh my God, you haven't seen him in a while. Like, this is crazy because you really like everything just to justify everything to justify. And I knew.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That there's that sometimes we think the mind works for us, right? But when we look back on our lives, every dumb thing we did, our mind approved it, right? Or else we wouldn't have done it. So the mind does not always work on our behalf unless we engage it that way. And so what you call your body, I call my spirit. My spirit will not cooperate, right? All the engine lights and everything will come on. But my mind will be figuring out ways to justify it. I call my mind the lawyer, right? My mind is going to lawyer up for whatever it wants, right? And so no one's perfect, and that doesn't necessarily mean that. And you start making up all these excuses and things of that nature. And so we do know, and that is one of the keys to affecting change, is to understand that knowing is only half of the battle. And that, there's a huge gap between acting on what we know and just knowing. And that is the other exercise and the thing that we have to get good at to change our results. It's not just knowing, but it's really, being able to act on that knowledge and act on that knowledge with confidence and swiftly, not drag it on. Because people will drag it on. And oh my God, I said that to someone earlier today. I was notoriously terrible for letting relationships go too far. Like, what are you doing? Y'all can only hate each other or resent each other. Like, man, get out of there. But you literally have to practice acting on what you know, or else, life will continue to give you the same test over and over and over again until you pass.
It's very true. And it's like, because again, the mind will tell you, okay, now exit, that it's just absolutely irreparable and we hate each other. Like, this is why you leave. And, one of my favorite books that I recommend to everybody is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Have you heard of it or read it?
I haven't read it. I have to check it out.
Okay, I've read it 3 times. It's one of my favorites because it's one of those books that are so full of truth that every season you read it and you're going to find a nugget and be like, oh, yes. But it talks about your inner voice and that chatter. What if it was a roommate? And what if you had a little homie right here sitting on the couch? And it gives the example of, okay, you're dating somebody. You guys were supposed to go out tonight. but it's a certain amount of time and they haven't called you yet. The little homie on the couch is going to be like, see, they be cheating. See, why everybody's always lying. Like, today's your anniversary and they didn't even call and they didn't even do anything. Just incessant, like, and now you're mad.
Right.
Now you're mad and you're thinking about blocking them, turning off your phone or whatever it's going to be. And then 5 minutes later, they can call like, oh my God, this happened. And then my phone died and I was here. I'm so sorry about that. Now they're back to being the best person in the world. And the person's like, oh, see, okay, you knew you had a good one. You should get them flowers. You should. If somebody was really sitting next to you doing that all the time, you would kick them out your house.
Right.
You would never be like, you'd be like, you wishy-washy. You got to go. I don't even like you like that. Like, but this is what our mind does. And it just talks about how the voice we hear in our mind is not us. We're the ones who are listening to the voice.
Absolutely.
So who are you really? And when you do that, it just allows you to move from the seat of your soul and drop into your body and we be knowing. But like you said, that the swiftness of moving and the confidence to do so is.
Jamie, I'm here to tell you the same way you said, if that was a friend, you would kick them out. That's what you got to do to yourself. You got to be like that voice. You got to be like, hey, shut up. For real. I'm get the, you got to mark, get the step in to that voice, or else it will keep talking to you.
Ruining your life.
Stuff that is not serving you. So you have to treat it the same way as you would that friend. You have to have that same conversation out loud, like, shed it.
For real. Like, and sometimes that's why I was like, oh my God, if I start living with somebody, are they going to think I'm crazy? Because sometimes I have to say it out loud. Like, stop. Like, you're just going to be sitting on the couch quietly and be like, stop, don't say it. Like, it's crazy. But I'm willing to do what I have to do to stop the nonsense because it will intentionally ruin your life.
It will intentionally ruin your life.
For no reason. SJ said, maybe I need to let someone match me up. Not a bad idea, SJ. Like, you got that going on in Yatu? Do you hook people up in your...
I am starting to build a database for that because I understand that there's a need, and then I saw the power of it my own self. And so, sometimes we just can't see things clearly from the inside looking in. When my friend laughed, he's like, man, you got that from your father. We 30-year friends, so he knows me and he knows my father. And so he not only can see it, but he can even see the source of it. And this is that same friend that matched me up before. And so it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Obviously the person matching has to be in a healthy place themselves, to be able to see clearly. But no, I see the power in that for sure. And it's coming to a theater near you.
Okay. Stay tuned. I'm gonna have to look up in there too. Hi, Najee. Nice to see you here. Yay. Najee used to tune in when I would do the Ready to Love after discussions. I stopped doing those because I wanted to see Ready to Love. I'm like, okay, Will Packer is amazing on. And they had a couple of good seasons, but then it just got like, this looks too much like the real dating world. And I'm getting mad at people. So I'm not gonna, this isn't working for me anymore. I wanted to see something different and no.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Sometimes we have to tune out the world so that we can hear ourselves clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of the space I'm in now, in and out. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this journey, everything that I'm learning along the way, what it looks like, lots of revelations. I think it's a good time right now to grow and evolve and, get the lessons and apply them. What do I say? There is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Like knowledge is, getting it. Understanding is like, okay, I can comprehend. But wisdom is walking it out. So I just think it's walk it out time.
Yeah, no wisdom without experience. It's all knowledge and theory, right? Understanding can be theory, but that wisdom doesn't come until it's applied in real life. Everybody thinks they have a plan until they get punched in the face.
Like, I didn't see that coming. It's like, why? This is what happens every time before you get punched in the face.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're out there and you're addicted to toxicity, dial 1-800-HEALTHY.
Right.
And, stop doing it to yourself. Stop torturing yourself. Understand, that it will continue to happen the same over and over and over. There is no this time. There is no blackmailing the universe. There is no, you can only change what you're doing. So get in tune with your spirit. Learn to tell your ego to be quiet maybe learn to tell some of your friends to be quiet, right? And figure out what it is you really need and want from an intrinsic level. And the experience will be so much different. You don't,
Yeah.
the person doesn't have to be less attractive or anything like that. That's people's biggest fear. That's why we go back to the toxicity, because we scared we can't find the things we like in the toxic person and minus the things we like in the next person. When truth be told, it's exactly the opposite, that your experiences are supposed to be building up your knowledge of what you need and want so that you can actually attract what you need and want. So you should be seeing progression in your relationships, even if they aren't working, that you're getting more and more of what you want and what you need instead of less and less or the same experience over and over again.
Yes, and that made me feel good because I am progressing. I'm like, okay, that last one, that was way better. Like we're getting better and better, like as far as quality, and it all looks so different. I never thought, oh my God, he's so short, but here I am, like, oh my God, I love him. Like, or he's like, so there's a lot of things, but I'm having fun. And yes, the wisdom and everything that you said. So, before we get out of here, do you want to let people know, what you do and where to find you so they can get their lives together?
Absolutely. I'm Yatu Marvel, Mr. Hitch himself, dating and relationship consultant, couples counselor, premarital and marriage. I'm a life coach, and I'm a person who has had tremendous dating experience, relationship experience, and I have made all the mistakes so that you don't necessarily have to, right? I want to help you get healed. I want to help you get aligned so that you can attract the romantic experience that your heart truly desires. I believe you're worthy of that. And when you change things up, you'll be deserving of that, and you'll actually get it. So you can find me on Instagram, and Yatu Marvelous Hitch. My government name on Facebook, just Yatu Marvel. And my website is thehitchagency.com. You can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. We can see if we're a good fit. I'll tell you about what my approach is, and we can see if we can get this thing rolling and change your results in 2023.
What is your predominant client base right now? Is it men? Is it couples? Is it women? What do you see more of?
It's women, and then couples, and then men. I think, there's a lot of stigma for men surrounding this. So men will just be like, let me pick your brain. Or they'll joke around, man, I need to come to you, right?
Right.
Right.
No, you really need to, like.
Yeah. But, women are more willing to make that step, and couples are more willing to make that step. And I'm looking to change the dynamic, change the conversation, change the vibe, change the energy, and make it more inviting, for men to take part in the process, because we're worthy of it. And if you're a man out there, you're worthy of having a really good woman who really loves you for who you are, challenges you to be the best you can be without downing you anyway, or putting you down anyway, or making you feel bad in any way, assist you in making your plan come together, and help you to feel more alive than you ever have been. And so you deserve that. I want that for you. And we just need to tweak some things so you can have that.
I want it for them too. I meet so many great men, and I'm like, God. And I'm not trying to therapy everybody. That's not what it's about, or judgment or everything. But I'm just like, God, like, I can kind of see how they're in their own way. And, I get feedback as well about myself, but I'm just like, man, like, the years are going by. You're such a beautiful man. Like, please just, I was hoping that you would say more men come to you, but this is the kind of thing where I think women get frustrated in a way. It's not our job to worry about what men are doing, but we're just like, we're here, we're going to the therapies, relationship coach, you can help me. We're going because we want to love you. We want to do it right. We want to do it healthily. We want it to be long lasting. We want to have kids. We want to have legacy. And none of us are perfect. It's not about, I know women, we have our issues. It's both of us, but it's like, we want to see more men connecting with men like you, because especially Black men, because you get it. You can speak directly to what's going on, and it's all good. And I know you do so from a place of love and compassion and genuine desire to see growth in the health of Black love. So I'm hoping, shoot, I need to start running some of this on my page. Like, look, y'all, look at this guy. Look what he does. I don't know. Hit him up. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I know what it means when the fellas are throwing the little hints out there, and that lets me know that we're moving in the right direction.
Yes.
And I don't mind letting them pick my brain on the side until they're ready to go full.
Thank you.
And so yeah, I definitely get that more. Women will get into sessions, and men are just want to pick your brain. What you think about this, man? I think you should talk about this topic.
Yeah.
They slide it in their own way, and so I do think men are moving towards wanting to improve in that area and understanding the need for togetherness on a micro and a macro level for our culture.
Amazing. I'm here for it. And you guys know me, I actually work only with women, and it's just making sure you're aligned with self so you can get everything that it is that you want. Because a lot of the times we are overthinking, we're overworking, we're burning out, we're trying to prove ourselves to other people. We're functioning so far out of alignment. We think all of these things are wrong, and they're not. So because I'm somebody whose name literally means to replace and supersede, my work in constantly needing to replace the old with the new and let the new be better than the last, and to do that in my life has given me a vast toolbox of gems that I know will change your life. They're based on universal truths. It's big, it's grandiose. Get with me. You can find me here on Instagram. My name, make sure you spell it correctly. And if you click the link in bio, you could click get sassy, and we could talk for 20 minutes and let's get to the root. I notice a lot of the times with a lot of the issues that we have, we're putting a dress on a pig. We're talking about the symptom of the thing and what had happened, when really it's like, okay, well, why did that happen? And why did it, we need to get to the root, pull it out so you can go live your best life.
Indeed. The rose can't grow unless we pull the weeds.
I mean, I tell people you can be the bombest seed there is, but you're not going to grow on the kitchen floor. You need fertile soil.
You need fertile soil, a little water and a little sunshine.
I mean,
so happy Winning Wednesday, everybody. I hope it's been a winning day for you, and I suspect that we'll be back next Wednesday with another hot topic.
Thank you so much for joining. It's always a pleasure. And thank you guys in the chat and for all that tuned in. If you love this, like it, share it, subscribe, turn your notifications on so you can join the conversation, and we will see you in the next video.
Thank you for having me.
Always. Peace.